The topic of character deaths has risen again. Character deaths in RPGs has risen again. Um, this time it was started by Andy Turner on the RPG Brigade, who noted that he'd never actually killed a PC, and he was wondering how common it was. And then it sort of evolved into a video first by Ivan Mike, debating on whether wasn't questioning whether you should have character deaths or not, but whether they should be meaningful or not. Following a suggestion by Red Dice Diaries, and he said they could be meaningful, but his kind of conclusion was it could be meaningful, but meaning should arise out of play rather than be forced to be meaningful. But then there was a video response by Jeffrey McCarthy entitled Meaningless Character Deaths, which offended me. So I'm making this video response. Jeffrey McCarthy explains he's from old school rules D&D. He had the original version where, without doubt, things were a lot more deadly, and he sees the characters he sees them similar to pieces in a game of chess that the players use to obtain their objective. And some are more powerful than others, but they're just pieces in a game of chess. I think this is missing out on the unique selling point of RPGs and D&D, which is the characters. There are plenty of games out there where you can just play some set of statistics, some easier to kill than others, and set them up against an objective. And if you die, you can recreate them and just do it again and do it again until you manage to defeat the environment, which is the sort of style of gaming that Jeffrey McCarthy seems to be suggesting or proposing. But over the versions of D&D, it's moved from less deadly, more deadly to less and less deadly. In the early versions, I remember giant centipedes with their poison could so easily wipe you out, and to reach second level would take a miracle, and very, very cautious play and retreating from the dungeon to rest every two weeks. It would take years of gaming probably to reach second level if you were lucky. Things have become a lot safer in later editions. So now in 5th edition, it becomes, with cautious play and clever players, dealing thoughtfully with their opposition, it becomes almost difficult. It becomes difficult to almost impossible for a GM to kill or challenge their players. And maybe this sort of nostalgia for old school rules is a reaction against that. But I do believe if you only see characters as pieces in a chessboard, you're missing out on the unique selling point of RPGs, which is the character. The environment can be interesting, but it's real characters interacting with this environment that really brings it to life. And if you are too arbitrary in how you kill these characters, you're stopping your players playing the game and making it not worthwhile the investment they need to create a character to play. It takes 10 minutes to an hour to a number of hours to create a character for a role-playing game, but to create a trap or a monster that kills them like that doesn't take any effort from the GM. So if there's no risk, it will become boring for the players. If there's too much risk, it will become arbitrary and frustrating. The GM's most difficult job is to find the right balance. As Jeffrey McCarthy said, Playing the game and having fun is more important than any character. That's his philosophy. But it's impossible to play unless you have a character. If you're a player, the GM's fine. Unless he does a TPK, the game still goes on. But a TPK or character death should only serve to add to the game. Its only objective is to make the players want to play the game more, not just the GM more, but all the players. And a good character death can do that by various things. It can raise the emotional stakes if the characters want revenge or really care about the character that died. Then they'll want to carry on playing to complete the story he started or whatever. It can also increase the excitement. If there's too little risk, it can be boring. So a character death can establish and remind the players how mortal their characters are. It can also basically add to the power of the story. If a good tragedy depends on death. The definition of tragedy was a drama in which the main characters died. So if you want tragedy rather than comedy, death will be an element. It will add power. But remember that each time a character dies, the game stops for that player, and they've invested time and effort into creating the character. They've put aside time to play the game. They've made an effort to get there. Sometimes they've rearranged their calendar. This is not a minor investment that it's not a minor investment of time and energy that you're destroying when you kill a player character. It's something significant. It actually has a real world effect, and if you make character deaths too meaningless, I suggest you're being rude to your players. Make character deaths mean something. Make character deaths add to the game, not just make it arbitrary. My name's Caius. I love role-playing games, and I hope to see you in one in the future.